Number 8, it says determine the slope of a line passing through the point negative 4, 7, and 9, 1. So to do that, we basically say change in y's over change in x's, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, I labeled which ones I would say are by x2s and y2s and x1s and y1s. Again, it doesn't matter if you had them flipped, you'd still get the same answer. So doing that, you end up with 8/5 as your answer. The next one says find the x and y intercept. Now remember, the x-intercept always occurs when y is 0, so we should know that. And therefore, we're going to plug in the 0 for the y and find what x is. We do the algebra and we get x to be negative 48. So the x-intercept is negative 48, or if you prefer, negative 48, 0 as an ordered pair. Now the y-intercept always occurs when the x is 0. So if we plug the 0 in for the x, we're going to get 9y equals 288, or y equals 32. Or you could write the ordered pair 0, 32. Either way is fine. Now, the next problem, number 10, we're going to start finding linear equations for each of the items described. So now remember, the most common forms for doing this would be y equals mx plus b, or y minus k equals m times x minus h. Now I prefer the one that I started there, the y minus k equals m x minus h, because it's the least amount of work. So for example, number 10, I would be pretty much done with this problem, and all I have to do is fill in the information. So I have y minus the negative 1 equals the 2 times the x minus 3. Double negative makes it a positive 1, so y plus 1 equals 2 times x minus 3, and I'm done. I'd put that on my answer, and I'd be done with that problem. Now, if you choose to do the other method, which is fine, you know that you would have y equals 2x plus b. You would take your ordered pair, you'd plug the y in for the y, the x in for the x, and you'd solve for b. In this case, b would be negative 7, and you would say y equals 2x minus 7, and that answer you could put on the line, and I would accept either answer, and I would be happy with either one. Okay, let's move on to the next problem here. Okay, continuing finding equations. So on number 11, what we need to do, first of all, is find the slope. So we know slope is the change in y's over change in x's, so we go ahead and do that. We get negative 3/2. Now again, the easy form, pick one of the points. So for instance, if I pick 0, 2, I would just plug that into that form, and I would say you end up with y minus 2 equals negative 3/2 x minus 0. Or you could pick the other point, the 2, negative 1, and you would have y minus negative 1 equals negative 3/2 x minus 2, or in other words, y plus 1 equals negative 3/2 plus negative 3/2 and the quantity x plus 2. Of course, if you wanted to keep with the y equals mx plus b form, you have a little more work to it. You have y equals negative 3x plus b. You're going to plug in negative 1 for the y, 2 for the x. Again, I chose the 2, negative 1 point. You could also do the 0, 2 point, but I did one of them for you. And so you could do the algebra there, and you end up with b equaling 2, and you end up with y equals negative 3/2 x plus 2. Now again, you could write any of those three for an answer, and I would take it. Okay. Again, I'd probably go the easy way out, but I'm going to leave that up to you how to do that. Now, number 12, remember x-intercept. That occurs when y is 0. So that we know that ordered pair is negative 5, 0. We know y-intercept occurs when x is 0, so we know that ordered pair is 0, 4. So now we could use those 2 points to find the slope. So we end up with 4 minus 0 over 0 minus negative 5, or in other words, 4/5. Now again, on this one, since I know the y-intercept, I would probably jump right on that one and say I have 4/5 x plus 4 and be done with it. But again, you can use one of the ordered pairs. If you chose a negative 5, 0, you would end up with y minus 0 equals 4/5 x plus 5. Or if you chose the other point, 0, 4, you would end up, in this case, with y minus 4 equals 4/5 x minus 0. And any of those three answers would be accepted. Now going to number 13. Again, we know the x-intercept is 4. So the easy way out of that, or 0, sorry. The x-intercept is 4, so we know the y value is 0, so we know the ordered pair is 4 is 0. Now the easy way out is to go ahead and use the point slope form and just say y minus 0 equals 3/4 x minus 4. But again, if you choose to do the other one, you would go ahead and put in 0 for y, 4 for x. The 4's cancel, you're left with a 3, so 0 equals 3 plus b, or in other words, b is going to end up as negative 3, and we would end up with the equation y equals 3/4 x minus 3. And again, either answer acceptable. I'm good with either one. Now, number 14, we're dealing with perpendicular. So first of all, remember, perpendicular is the slopes are opposite reciprocals to each other. So don't forget that. So my equation, I have a slope of 3 that's been given to me, but I want the perpendicular one. So my slope with my point should be negative 1/3, opposite reciprocal, and I'm using the points 3/4. So again, the easy way out would just to say y minus 4 equals negative 1/3 x minus 3 and be done. But again, if you want to, you can go ahead and plug in your ordered pair into the y equals mx plus b form. Now you're not using the y equals 3x plus 5 anymore. You just needed that for the slope. So ignore everything else, okay? So in this case, we end up with just purely coincidental that the c was 5 for both of them. That was just purely by chance, okay? That doesn't happen very often, so don't assume that by any means. Go ahead and plug in your values. You end up with this situation, and you end up with b equaling 5. So you end up with your equation of negative 1/3 x plus 5. And again, either one of those are acceptable to me. I don't really care which one. I'd probably use a blue one, but it is up to you at that point. Okay, so let's continue moving on. Let's talk about parallel. Okay, parallel. Well, we should know parallel lines have the same slope. So we should be using the same slope. If the slope of our equation was 3, the slope of our line should be 3 and going through the point 1, 4. We are no longer in need of that y equals 3x plus 5. We just need the slope from there, so throw that rest of the equation out. We just need the slope. So now we have a couple options. Again, we go the easy way out and say we have y minus 4 equals 3 times x minus 1. Or again, if you prefer, using the other form of y equals mx plus b, you know that y equals 3x plus b. Plug the 4 in for y, 1 in for the x, solve for b, you get b equals 1, and you end up with y equals 3x plus 1. And again, I would take either of those answers. Okay, going to the next one on this problem, they want to know about the y-intercept. Now remember, the y-intercept is the initial value or the starting value when t is 0. So in our slope-intercept is 15 in our problem. And that's talking about the depth of the snow after the snow has stopped. So that's the initial depth of the snow. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Now the x-intercept. Well, we know the x-intercept always occurs when y is 0, or in this case, s. So we solve for that. We say 0 equals 15 minus 1.5x. We end up with t equaling 10 hours. Well, that tells us how many hours it will take until all the snow has melted. Okay, because s being 0 means there's no more snow left. Now, remember slope. Slope represents rate. Okay, it represents the rate at which something's happening. So in ours, our slope is negative 1.5. It's the rate at which the snow is melting per hour. Okay, so that's what we should be having for those. On these problems, you'll get options. You'll have 4 options. You'll need to choose the correct option. You're not going to have to write the equation or write the sentence for me. However, you're going to have to tell me what the y-intercept is. You're going to tell me what an x-intercept is. You're going to tell me what the slope is. Okay, you'll have to give me those, but then you'll circle whichever sentence or whichever one makes the most sense for that particular problem. But don't forget to put what the y-intercept is, or what the x-intercept is, or what the slope is in the blank on that problem, not in the numbered blank. Okay? So make sure you do that properly as well.